Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. My name is Dominic, and I am the host of the Android Factory. Today, I want to cover basically handling events through the MVVM architecture. If you saw, I think it was 2 videos ago, we basically we began to implement this add category page, right? So we would click it, we would go to this page, it would load up, and so we would move from the profile fragment here to the add category fragment. And then we have this idea of this transaction complete live data. And this has been a small pain point and a little frustrating for me and possibly for you as viewers, feel like what's going on here. But we currently have a live data that holds a Boolean, and that is supposed to handle notifying some other observer of, after some kind of transaction happens in the database, we post the value of true, and if anyone cares to know when a particular event had finished, they can do so by observing that live data in their view layer. However, I had forgotten to override the onPause function here and set the value of false to our live data when we were leaving the screen. So then we found ourselves in a weird predicament that we left this screen because this live data had the value of true. So we ended up back here, and when we clicked add category again, it would basically do nothing. It wouldn't even flash to the screen or anything like that, and it would just end up back on the screen because we would observe the live data immediately and on view created, it would be true, and so then therefore we would navigate up and we would move backwards. So this was a small error on my part, but the larger issue is that this isn't the proper way to actually handle events within the MVVM architecture. So I did a weird bit of Googling, but I found this class. This class exists in many, many articles. I think it's even suggested from Google, but it is called the event of a particular type, parameterized type here, or sorry, a generic. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this into our architecture package. What is it called? Event. No. Event. Paste that in. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. Let's dissect this. Open class event out t, private val content t. There is a variable here, has been handled false with a private set. And that says here, allow external read but not write. And so eventually the way that we're going to go ahead and use this, this class, this object here, is accessing our content that we end up setting through this function get content if not handled or return null. I don't like how explicit that is, or null. You know what, we don't even need that. Just get content if not handled. You know what, who cares? Sorry, just get content. All right. And so the idea here is that our object will have this Boolean set to false originally, and then when we reference or when we call get content, we will flip that flag to true, and we will return the content to the calling code. And so then at any point in the future with this particular object, this instance, this flag will be flipped to false, or sorry, flipped to true, and therefore it will not return the actual content anymore from this function. Instead, it will just return null. So then our implementation, if we just take a look at this really quickly, this is how we can go ahead and utilize this with a particular type. So we'll have an event of a string. In our case, we'll probably make it an event of a Boolean. And then you can go ahead and observe that particular live data with and then in our observer, we will just go ahead and get our content and then optionally do something in this block here when it is a non-null value, meaning that the event has not been handled yet. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. It's kind of just like a little gatekeeper, a little switch. Basically, you're only going to be able to use you're only going to be able to reference this content once and once only. So the issue of us having this Boolean true being carried over basically is just going to go away, which is great. So we're going to go ahead and use our transaction complete live data, but we are going to update it to be an event of type Boolean. And so then here we're going to post an event with true in all of these instances where we were using it. And then there were a few places that we were, so we no longer need to override this on pause in the add item. We no longer need to override this on pause in our add category. And then we just need to clean up our implementation here. So we're going to change this to be event, and then we're just going to say val completed equals event dot get content. If it is null, we're going to say false. Right, so that should cover our case. You know what, we don't even really need to handle that. We don't need to like store this knowledge anymore. We can just very easily say get content, let, and then at this point, if we're running this code, it's because we have not seen that event yet, which is great. And then we're basically just going to go ahead and do this exact same thing here, which is a lot simpler. So we're just going to reference our event, get content, and then navigate up. Now we should be good to go, and we shouldn't have to worry about resetting our live data when we leave the screen that cares about if an event is completed or not. So we're going to go ahead. All right, we're just going to add, let's just do the category because it's a little bit easier. So we'll say dummy category 1. We'll save it. It appears there. We can go ahead and click add category again, and we didn't immediately get bounced back to our previous screen, because when we access this again, this live data again, it was already handled. So just to prove that to you, I'll hit a breakpoint here. So the idea is that this observer is still going to fire because there's still data inside of this live data. However, if we go ahead and take a look, even though the content is true, this instance of the event at 11251, it should be pretty easy to remember, but I'll write it down. 11251. The content is true, but it also has been handled. So when we access get content, it returns null. Very good, but if we go ahead and add another category, dummy category 2, and we save it, we now have event at 11256. Before it was 251. So we clearly have a new event object, which is great. The content again is true, but has been handled is false. So therefore, when we reference get content, has been handled is false. So it'll flip the flag, but it will more importantly return the content, which in this case is a Boolean. And then we will go ahead and just navigate up here. So this is the proper way to handle events being communicated via the live data and the MVVM architecture. So, this is the Google suggested approach, and is definitely the way you should be doing this if you are going to be communicating these kinds of events through your MVVM architecture. So hopefully you learned a thing or two. Doesn't really impact the application too much, but it does make our lives as developers a little bit easier. And again, it's just worth it to know the proper way to kind of communicate this information. So thanks for sticking with me here. If you made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up on the video and a subscription to the channel if you are not already, to make sure you don't miss out on any of the other wonderful content coming soon. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.